So tell me a little bit about the elk project.
Okay, well, last December, the Natural Resources Board approved a plan amendment that made some changes to the Clam Lake Elk Management Plan and the Black River Falls Management Plan. And things that they authorized was allowing the department to bring 150 elk into the state to start the Clam Lake, or to start the Jackson County population down by Black River Falls, and then also to augment the Clam Lake herd by another 75 animals. So 75 animals would go to Clam Lake, 75 animals would start the Black River Falls population. What the plan also allows us to do is to take elk from colonized areas of the elk range and release them in areas uncolonized by elk. So we could spread the elk around the elk range so that they could take advantage of unoccupied high quality habitat elsewhere in the elk range. That will allow us to proceed towards our ultimate goal, and that is 1,400 elk on the Clam Lake Elk Range, and then also to initiate restoration of elk in west central Wisconsin, in Jackson County area of Black River Falls. That particular elk range is about 340 square miles, and the population goal is about 390 elk for that one. And we would release 75 elk there and foster and manage it so that it would grow to 390 elk eventually.
So the primary reason to bring these new animals to this area is to increase the genetic diversity, correct?
Correct. The original elk herd, the original restoration project that was started up near Clam Lake started with just 25 animals from the lower peninsula of Michigan's population of about 1,000 animals there. That population started in 1918 by just 7 animals. So there is a restricted genetic diversity, heterozygosity in that particular population, and by bringing additional elk in from a more genetically diverse population, and we hope to get elk from a population that was started by several different herds from across the western United States. So we'll likely have a much more diverse population than what we currently have, and that'll help our population in the long run.
Let's talk about mortality. What are the current factors that are really preventing the elk project from flourishing?
Since elk arrived in 1995 and through the population growth of the herd, we have experienced and verified 218 cases of mortality in our elk herd. 42% of that, or a little bit better than 90 of those animals, have been killed by wolves. About 30 some of those animals, or 16%, have been killed by vehicle collisions, and 25 of those animals, or 12%, had been killed by bear. So those three factors alone, 42% wolves, 14% vehicles, and 12% bears, those three factors alone account for 2/3 of all the losses that have been observed due to a variety of causes. So wolf mortality, vehicle mortality, and bear mortality on calves. I should point out that bears do not take adult animals, they only take calves up to about a month and a half of age.
What are the current predator populations in the new area where we're going to put elk compared to the old area of where we currently have elk in Clam Lake?
Well, they're quite similar actually. There aren't any fewer wolf packs down here. The pack densities are the same up there. All the available habitat is occupied currently by wolf packs, same as it is up by Clam Lake. So It's not a situation where we're going to have less wolves and therefore they're going to grow faster. Similarly, we also have just as many bears around here in the expanded range as we have up in the Clam Lake range. What may be an advantage, and we did see this with the original elk herd, and that was we didn't have any problems with wolves. Even though there were wolves on the elk range when the elk were originally released in 1995, we did not see any losses to wolves until 1999, and those were only calves at that time. We did not see an adult elk killed by wolves up in the Clam Lake area for 8 years. So
it took them 8 years to learn how to hunt elk.
Correct. So it's a situation where we hope there is a learning curve down in the expanded range as there was seen in the in the original elk range. That remains to be seen. We're hopeful that that will be indeed the case. Where we put these elk will be far enough away from any state or county trunk highways where we shouldn't see similar results of what we've had with mortalities due to vehicle collisions in the expanded range as what we had in the original elk range. So we should see greatly reduced losses due to that, which will help with the, again, expanded growth of the herd down in the expanded range.
I'm sure you get this question a lot. At what point will we be able to have a controlled hunt on elk in Wisconsin?
We're only about a year or two away, and the language has been on the books for the protocol for having an elk hunting season since 2003. And what will happen is once we reach a threshold of 200 elk, we will have a limited bull season, B-U-L-L season, not B-O-W, but B-U-L-L season, where a small handful of bulls would be allowed to be harvested. Again, being a polygamous species, much the same as wild turkeys, you can take some males out of the population without detrimentally impacting population growth. And so if we take, say, 5% of that population in bulls of 200, that would be 10 bulls. The Clam Lake elk herd is within the ceded territories, so 50% or 5 of those 10 bulls would go to the Ojibwa, and 5 would go to conventional state hunters. And there would be a lottery system for the conventional state hunters portion.
Okay. Well, about 16 miles from Winter, Wisconsin, we have the new elk pens. Can we talk a little bit about them and what they do?
Right. The acclimation pens, these would be for animals that we're going to plan on moving this current winter, where we'll be moving some animals from the Clam Lake. A minimum of 12 animals, target animals, would be captured and moved down to the acclimation pens in the expanded range from the existing Clam Lake range. We call that assisted dispersal. We've got an abundance of high quality habitat that's unoccupied at this point in time. What we've learned from 18 years of telemetry of the Clam Lake elk herd is that cows do not disperse. They're pretty strong homebodies. They stay put. And you can't, it makes it difficult to grow and expand a population if you're not expanding good high quality habitat that's vacant. So what we've done back in 2011 and again in 2012 is we winter trapped some elk, moved them to a new area of unoccupied range, held them in an acclimation pen for several months, and then after spring green up, we've released the animals. One of those releases has been a very strong success. We started with 12 animals. We now have about 20 animals. That particular group had 5 calves this year, so it looks like it's a strong, established population.
Can we go and look at those elk pens?
You bet.
All right, let's go.
the acclimation pen. This winter we hope to capture a minimum of 12 target elk, and what would be a target elk would be young cows, 1, 2, 3 years old, maybe some 4 or 5 year olds that are pregnant, and we hope to bring a minimum of 12 of those elk down with at least 4, maybe more bulls that we would put them in this pen and hold them through from January and February when we'd capture them all the way until after green up and after any calves are born of any pregnant cows we would have inside. This 4-acre pen is comprised of 2-acre commons area and then 2 1-acre compartments. We would set up our elk trap in the center and we would sort pregnant cows into those 2 smaller pens and hold them in there separate from the rest of the animals until their calves are born, and then about 10 days to 2 weeks after those calves are born, we would recombine the group, and a couple weeks later we would then release those elk out into the winter block of the Sawyer County Forest. Okay, the specifications of this fence is such that it's comprised of an 8-foot high woven wire high tensile fence, and we use these 5 by 6 foot posts, 5 by 6 inch posts that are 14 feet long. They're cemented down at these tees, also at each assemblies and at both gates. So we have 53 posts here that are cemented in, and then line posts are put in at about 3 feet deep. We also put a black fabric because if we just had the woven wire, this fence would be invisible to the elk and they would run into it and injure it. So we place the black fabric up here so that it provides a visual barrier to them that they don't try to jump, and also that they see as a barrier and won't run into.